This time on Screencast a Week, we learn how to type rich typographic characters to help your writing stand out from the crowd. Hello, people of the internet. I'm Kevin Yank, and this is Screencast a Week. This week, we're looking at rich typographic characters on your Mac and how to use them. If you take a look at these two lines of text that I have open in TextEdit here, at first glance, you might not be able to tell the difference between them. But if I go ahead and bump up the text size, you can see pretty clearly that the top line uses these rich typographic characters, these curly quotes, a long dash here, and this character here is actually one character, a horizontal ellipsis, rather than three periods or three full stops. The line below uses these old-fashioned straight quotes. It uses three dots, three separate characters for the ellipsis, and two hyphens or minus signs to stand in for that dash. Now, I know this is a pet peeve, and call me crazy, but this first line looks so much more human to me. It looks like a human being wrote it for other human beings to read, whereas this second line looks like something that was punched into a computer and spat out the other side with technology in the way that isn't really giving much care to how things look or read. I really like this first version a whole lot better, and that's why I try to make sure that all of my writing that I do on a computer, whether that's in an email, an instant message, a comment on a website, or a full website that I'm producing as part of my day job, I try to make sure that all that writing uses these rich characters to their fullest to keep that humanity and sense of care in the writing that I produce. So how can you type these characters? Well, in some places on the Mac, it's easier to type them than not. If I go ahead and just try and type this line using the standard keyboard keys, you can see as I typed each normal character, it was quickly transformed into the richer version of that character on the fly. And this is using text substitutions that are built into OS X. If I right-click in TextEdit here, you can see on the pop-up menu, there's this Substitutions submenu that includes entries like smart quotes and smart dashes. These are the features that are doing those substitutions on the fly for me. I can turn them on and off here, and I can also bring up this Substitutions window so that I can keep control of them in this handy pop-up window. So if I go ahead and turn off smart dashes, for example, and then retype those two hyphens, it leaves them alone. Now, unless you're doing a particular kind of writing, say if you're typing some code to be read by computers that shouldn't contain these special characters, I recommend leaving all of these substitutions on by default. And if every once in a while you don't want that substitution to be done, all you have to do is hit the undo shortcut, Command Z, and it will undo the substitution that it just did for you. This works for all of these characters, including these quotes, and I can just get back to the straight quotes by pressing Command Z. So you don't really have to keep this substitutions window open to exercise that control. You can just hit Command Z every time you want to correct OS X and undo a substitution. So this is great in TextEdit, but it's a little different in some other apps. Let me open up Pages here, and I'll go ahead and type that same sentence. Now you can see that it substituted the dash and it substituted the ellipsis, but it left my straight quotes alone. So I'm guessing here that that smart quotes feature has been turned off in my copy of Pages. So if I right-click to try and turn it on, you'll see the menu is a little more lean here in Pages. Pages prefers to tuck its text editing features away in its menus because if it tried to cram them all into this pop-up menu, there'd just be too many to deal with. So instead of getting at them in the pop-up menu, you just go to the Edit menu up here, and there you go. There's that Substitutions menu, just like in TextEdit. And I can turn on Smart Quotes. Now when I retype these quotation marks, I get those curly quotes that I was looking for. So you can see that it varies a little from app to app, but generally those features are there in all native Mac apps. But not all apps are native to the Mac. Especially browsers like Chrome and Firefox. These apps are cross-platform. They're meant to run on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And because they're not quite native to OS X, they tend to miss out on these subtle features that you get with the operating system. Let me show you. If I fire up Chrome here, and I've got a photo posted by the city of Melbourne on Flickr here, and let's say I want to write a comment. I'm going to boost up the font size here so that you can see exactly what I'm typing. And let's say I wanted to type. As you can see, Chrome hasn't done any of the substitutions I would expect in a native Mac app. My quotes are straight, my ellipses are single characters, and that apostrophe is straight as well. So what are we supposed to do? Well, there's no way to turn on these smart substitutions, at least not the version that's built into OS X. Instead, if you want these characters, you're going to have to learn to type them yourself. And it's actually not that hard. First of all, I'll go into System Preferences here. And in the keyboard preferences, I'll turn on Show Keyboard and Character Viewers in Menu Bar. If I close that, you can see I've got a new icon up here in my menu bar, and I can choose Show Keyboard Viewer. Now, right now, this is showing a digital representation of the built-in keyboard on my MacBook. If I start typing, though, you can see that it changes to represent the external keyboard that I have attached, which has a number pad and some extra control keys. Now, as you'd expect, you can see all of the characters that you're able to type and their positions on the keyboard here. But what I want to show you is if I hold down the Option key on my keyboard, I get access to some characters that you might not expect. There's that ellipsis, a single character that gives you those 3 dots. And I've got my left double quotes, left single quotes, and this here, instead of a minus sign or a hyphen, that's an N dash, a longer dash that's the length of the capital letter N. If I add Shift to the keys that I'm holding down, you can see I get my right double quote, my right single quote, and an even longer M dash. This is that long dash that OS X puts in for me automatically if I type 2 minus signs. It's the length of the capital letter M, which is why they call it an M dash. And if you take a look around the other keys on this virtual keyboard as I take Shift on and off, you can see there's a whole bunch of other characters like the trademark sign and a bullet and a degree that you get access to by holding down that Option key on your keyboard. This might remind you of a previous episode where I showed you a bunch of Option key tips. Well, here's one more. So just by keeping this window open as a quick reference, you can start to teach yourself how to type these special characters. If I want to go and replace this straight quotation mark with a curly right quote, I can just hold down the Option key, the Shift key, and then hit that right square bracket key to get that character. And don't worry that you're using the wrong character here by using the right single quote as an apostrophe. The standard for Unicode, which is the international standard that says what all of these characters are to be used for, says that that right single quote is the preferred character for an apostrophe in the English language. And if I move along a little further here to this ellipsis, I'll select these 3 characters, these 3 periods or full stops. I'll delete them, and instead I'll hold down the Option key and hit the semicolon to get that ellipsis. And finally, I'll curl these quotes again using the Option key and the left square bracket for this one, and the Option key and Shift and the left square bracket for the right-hand quote. And just like that, I've crafted a comment that shows that I care about how the writing that I do looks. I really do think that comment looks a whole lot better. And if you agree with me, you might want to take the time to train your hands to type these characters. It's really not that much work, and you can get started by turning off all of those automatic substitutions that you get on OS X and forcing yourself to type these characters for yourself instead. You'll be surprised how quickly your fingers learn the keyboard combinations to get those characters. They're a lot easier to type on OS X than they are on some other operating systems like Windows, for example, where you have to hold down the Alt key and type a numeric code into the number pad on your keyboard in order to get these kind of rich characters. On the Mac, they are a little hard to discover, but they're there on your keyboard for you to use. And using the keyboard viewer, you can find out where they are and start to learn to type them. Well, that's it for Screencast a Week this week. I hope I've opened your eyes to a whole realm of new characters that you can type with your keyboard. And until next week, your assignment is to start using them. Visit screencastaweek.com to find all the previous episodes of this show and to sign up to support the show. You can also subscribe on YouTube to get notified whenever a new episode goes live. And until next week, I'm Kevin Yang. Thanks for watching.